"Get out of the car now. You're trespassing on private property." I kept my voice dead calm as I stared at the woman blocking my path. "Ma'am, that's my cabin up there. My family's owned this land since 1923. Her smile could have frozen lava. "Not anymore, it isn't. You're in Pine Ridge Estates now." I'd been gone for 3 years, working the oil rigs in North Dakota to pay for my mother's memory care. I came home to find steel chains and a private community sign blocking the mountain road my great-grandfather built with his own 2 hands. While I was away, 8 multi-million-dollar mansions had sprouted like ugly weeds in my pristine valley. And ruling over this environmental crime scene like a discount Disney villain was Vivian Ashworth. Picture your worst HOA nightmare. Give her a Dallas real estate license and enough designer perfume to choke a bear. She climbed out of her white Range Rover, clipboard in hand, and told me I was a transient element, threatening her property values. She handed me a manila envelope. 47 separate violations for a cabin that predated her parents. Total fines, $73,000. But here's what this HOA queen didn't know. I didn't just own that century-old cabin. I owned the mineral rights under every single one of her precious mansions. What would you do if some HOA psycho locked you out of your own family legacy? Drop where you're watching from in the comments. I know some of you have HOA war stories. My name's Declan Forester, and I was about to show Vivian that in these mountains, legacy runs deeper than a Range Rover's tire tracks. The valley I grew up in was 320 acres of Colorado wilderness. After my mom passed, I was ready to remember how to be human again. Instead, Vivian Ashworth greeted me with a legal paper bomb. She'd established an HOA while I was away, claiming it had unanimous consent. But when I visited the county courthouse, I found the truth. My signature was nowhere on those documents. In Colorado, you can't force a pre-existing property into an HOA without the owner's consent. Vivian was operating on a lie, betting that a hermit like me wouldn't have the stomach for a fight. The harassment turned into psychological warfare. She sent a committee to my house, people in designer hiking boots that had clearly never touched actual dirt, to photograph my woodpile and my 1920s root cellar. They called my truck an aesthetic disaster. But I'm an oil rig worker. I've spent decades working with equipment that will kill you if you rush. I learned patience. I installed high-tech trail cameras with night vision and audio. Within 48 hours, I caught Vivian creeping around my porch at dawn, whispering to her cronies about how to pressure him into selling by filing false environmental reports. When the county health department showed up to investigate my leaking septic system, I was ready. I handed the inspector a USB drive of the HOA board discussing how to manufacture the complaint. The inspector's face went white. Filing a false government report is a felony. Vivian's desperation reached a fever pitch. One morning, I woke up to find my power cut. Someone had called the electric company claiming there were dangerous violations. Then a $250,000 lawsuit arrived from a law firm owned by, you guessed it, Vivian's husband. They were trying to bury me in legal fees, but while they were looking at the surface, I was looking at the dirt. I met with a property rights attorney, Roxanne Blackwood. She pulled the original 1923 homestead patent. "Declan," she said, her eyes gleaming, "your great-grandfather was a genius. He didn't just homestead 320 acres. He filed mineral claims on 1,280 acres, the entire valley floor. In Colorado, mineral rights are the dominant estate. They trump HOA rules, local zoning, and even surface ownership. Not only did I own the land under their mansions, but according to federal law, I had a perpetual access easement. I could legally drill a core sample in Vivian's front yard if I felt like it. Even bigger, every single one of those mansions was built without notifying the mineral rights holder, me. Under federal law, that made their building permits illegal. Their multi-million-dollar investments were technically unauthorized structures on my mineral estate. But Vivian didn't know the hammer was falling. She made one final desperate move. My cameras caught 3 figures in ski masks trying to torch my cabin with road flares and gasoline. Cedar logs are fire-resistant, but the intent was clear. I stepped onto the porch with a flashlight and my grandfather's rifle. I didn't fire a shot. I just started counting to 10. They ran so fast they left their gasoline cans and a timing device behind. The sheriff arrived, and suddenly Vivian wasn't just facing HOA violations. She was facing conspiracy to commit arson and RICO charges. Roxanne and I didn't just stop the lawsuit. We filed a countersuit that made the mountains shake. We proved Vivian had embezzled $2 million in HOA fees into shell companies. We revealed the illegal permits. The fallout was spectacular. The FBI moved in to investigate the property fraud scheme. Vivian's husband was disbarred. The mansions, those glass and steel monstrosities, sat in legal limbo because they couldn't get clear titles to land they didn't technically control. Vivian Ashworth, the Queen of Pine Ridge, traded her Range Rover for a prison jumpsuit. Today, the chains are gone. The mountain road is open. I sit on my porch, smelling the pine and the wild flowers that Vivian tried so hard to kill. The mansions are mostly empty now, tied up in federal court, but the Forester cabin still stands. Legacy isn't something you can buy with a Range Rover or enforce with a clipboard. It's built into the rock and the soil. Have you ever had to fight for what was yours? Let me know in the comments below. And if you want to hear more stories of bullies getting their comeuppance, make sure to hit that subscribe button. Thanks for watching.